Good evening, friends. I'm very glad that such a good turnout, even on the, and I can promise you, Nilesh is the guy and who can really give the complete insight of the market. Though he is a fund manager or whatever it is, I respect him for his thoughtful research and then the deep dive that he does in the markets. And he is such an expert that it will be definitely useful for all of us to really look at investments from a different perspective. Before Nilesh comes.
Hi, I have two presentations. One is a very short presentation, other one is a long presentation. The short presentation I made for Japanese clients. I was last week in Japan marketing India. And unlike Indians which give me reasonable amount of time, it's difficult to communicate with Japanese. After a lot of hard work, I could just understand or speak one Japanese word, konnichiwa, which is how are you types. So I said, let me try to communicate India's story in just simple words. And I carried this chart. You could see the white line. Can we switch off this front lights, then it will be better visible? You could see this white line which is growing up like this. And what will not be visible is there is some yellow, red, green lines at the bottom. The white line is of Maruti Suzuki since listing. And the bottom is all companies like Toyotas and Hondas and Nissans and Suzukis. They don't compare to Maruti. So I showed this to Japanese investors. When you invest in India, you can get returns like Maruti. And of course, if you are not happy with great returns, you could remain invested in Toyotas and Hondas and Nissans and Suzukis. And this versus dollar, it's apple to apple comparison. I thought every Japanese will know the great return achieved by Maruti. Surprisingly, we did a pretty bad job in marketing this to Japanese. Forget Japanese, even some of the Indian present over there, they are not aware that Maruti has delivered such a great performance. I just hope and believe that all of you are aware of Maruti's great performance. And while you did bought Maruti car for yourself, you have sufficiently invested in Maruti shares. I hope that's true. If not, then you have to take Wealth First Advisory. There is also this Japanese saying, if you do not enter the tiger's cave, you will not catch its cub. I'm sure all of you are aware, very recently in Maruti's factory, a leopard had entered and they had to catch the leopard. So Maruti has got, if not tiger, leopard, and that's why they delivered that great return. And if you want great return, you have no option but to invest into Maruti kind of stock. That was the two-page presentation for Japanese investors. Today we manage about $1.8 billion from Japanese. I hope after this presentation it crosses $2 billion. But at the same time, there is a long story for you. I frequently get this question, markets are near all-time high. Will it crash? I want to take some feedback from you and please give me honestly that feedback. In this audience, how many of you have invested into equity market to your desired allocation? This is the, okay. And I'm not surprised. There are very few people who have invested into this great bull run to the extent of their desire. I have been to, like last 1 week, by Kolkata, Bangalore, Delhi, Jaipur, and everywhere this is the feedback. Now one thing I am sure, if there are so many people who are waiting to invest into the market is not kind enough to give you that correction so that you can enter at lower level. Normally it sucks in your money and then only it gives correction. One of the reasons I ask people that over 20 years mutual funds have delivered 20% plus return in equities, and fixed income at best would have delivered 8-9%. Then why are you not investing in equity? Many times we get the feedback that markets are expensive, markets are volatile, markets can correct. So I want to settle for once and all the debate about expensiveness of the market. Can you guess what is this? It's an abstract art, but to some people it was worth $110 billion. Now, if this is not expensive, then I can assure you that none of the shares in India is expensive. On a serious note, today, when people say Indian markets are expensive, they are telling half-truth. Half-truth because today's price-to-earning ratio, which is one indicator of valuation, is at the same level as it was in 2008. And you all remember 2008 pain when market crashed from 21,000 to 8,000, even though Mr. Modi was not the Prime Minister. Now, when people say markets are similarly valued like 2008, does it mean that there is another correction coming which will bring 33,000 Sensex to maybe 20,000? Answer is no. Now, before I come why the answer is no, let me first focus on some of the challenges which are there in India. The first challenge is that a lot of us believe that the government is not doing great job. The government is not doing good job. The government is actually doing bad job. There is that general feeling. Let me just bring to you the complexity of managing India. We all know India is a diverse country, but very few of us know what is this range of diversity. Our smallest state, Goa, has population equal to Estonia. The largest state, UP, has a population equal to Brazil. We manage from Estonia to Brazil in one country. Our poorest state, UP, which is also the largest, is as poor as Nepal in per capita GDP. Our richest state is the smallest state, which is Delhi. It's as rich as Indonesia in per capita GDP. We manage diversity from Nepal to Indonesia at one go. How do you move this country, which is not a country but as complex as a continent? In some sense, we are the living proof that there is God. Because if there was no one at the top, how were we functioning? So when you look at India, please remember the diversity will always be slow to move because we are not a speedboat, we are an oil tanker. The second challenge which is coming to us is that today entrepreneurs of India, businessmen of India are not investing for future. There are a variety of reasons. Some people are not getting bank credit, some people are not getting equity money, some people are suffering from previous projects and so on and so forth. But compared to 2013, compared to 2008, we have slowed down dramatically on investment. And because we have slowed down dramatically on investment, we are also seeing agitations from various communities about job reservation. In Maharashtra, Marathas are demanding job reservation. In Gujarat, Patidars are demanding job reservation. In Haryana, Jats are demanding job reservation. So these are the challenges despite which our market is almost at all-time high in absolute number. And yet we believe 2017 is different from 2008. Why are we so confident? We are so confident because in 2008, profitability was very, very high. For statisticians, it was 7.1% of GDP. Today, it is very, very depressed. It's just about 3% of GDP. Partly it is because suddenly PSU banks and telecom companies are declaring losses? Partly it is because genuinely businesses are making less money than they were making in 2008. Now what does market do? All human beings have a bias called linearity bias. If Virat Kohli scores 3 centuries in a row, everyone will believe, or most of us will believe, that in 4th inning he will score a century. If Virat Kohli scores 3 ducks in a row, in the 4th inning, our expectations will be he should retire. We won't even give him an opportunity to play the 4th inning. This is the linearity bias. This linearity bias is what is confusing people. And that's why analysts are saying that this is as expensive market as 2008, not realizing that 2008 was peak of profitability, 2017 is bottom of profitability. Maybe next year also profits will be subdued, but we can't remain forever at 3%. At some point of time it will bounce back. We are in the camp which believe that profitability will bounce back, and hence it is worth investing. The second thing which is happening is that when our profits were good in 2008 as well as 2011, the capacity utilization was 80%. If this hotel operated at 80% utilization, there will be one room rent. If it operated 73%, there will be another room rent. Today, whole of India, represented by top 2,000 companies, is operating at 73% utilization. That has subdued profitability, that has impacted margin. We believe after sustaining at this level for almost 3 years, time has come for capacity utilization to go up. As capacity go up, profitability will go up. The second thing is that salaries and wages as a percentage of sales was about 8% in 2008. Today it is 11.5%. The market believes that all businessmen of India have become Mother Teresa. They will continue to pay salaries to employees at cost of profitability. We believe businessmen are businessmen. They will run business for making money. They will run businesses for making profit. Either salaries cost will come down, or this shows the confidence of businessmen that in future businesses will grow, and hence automatically salaries will get rationalized. So we believe going forward over next 3 years, profitability will improve because capacity utilization will go up, and because salaries and wages cost will get rationalized, and that is why 2017 is different from 2008. It doesn't mean that tomorrow markets won't correct. Markets can correct. They are nature of the market, but it won't correct as much as 50-60% like it happened in 2008. Let's focus on few things which is required to pull market up from current level. The first and the foremost, we don't want Chinese currency depreciation. How do we bother about China? Why is Nifty linked with China? Because today, China is dumping so many goods in India, from steel products to consumer goods to chemicals to fertilizer to pesticides to so many other items, that it's impacting India's profitability, it's impacting India's competitiveness. Of course, Chinese are more efficient than India, but because our currency has appreciated against China in the last 18 months, the competition has become extremely difficult. Today, we spend $60 billion officially and unofficially put together every year in importing Chinese goods in excess of our exports to China. What is the $60 billion, can you guess? We have a difficult neighbor called Pakistan. You all know that China has a great relationship with Pakistan. You also know the reason why China has a great relationship with Pakistan, right? It's happening because China is investing in Pakistan into something called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It's an infrastructure project which will develop a port called Gwadar in Balochistan and link it via high-speed road network all the way into China. What's the cost of that project? $60 billion. Who is financing that? you and me. If instead of exporting, and all of us can achieve it in just 1 year. So we don't want Chinese currency to depreciate, because otherwise there will be a lot of trouble for Indian manufacturing. The second thing is geopolitical stability. There is some tin pot in North Korea who keeps on firing rockets. As long as those rockets don't blast, we are fine. Then there is one more trouble which is brewing in Middle East. It's called Saudi Arabia. Suddenly, 11 princes of Saudi Arabia has been arrested. One prince suddenly got dropped from the helicopter, and it seems helicopter also crashed. No one knows what happened over there. Saudi Arabia exports largest oil to India. If oil prices goes up, the entire India story comes under cloud. So we want Saudi Arabia to settle down. We want oil prices to remain where they are. 2 hours should behave. I'm not referring to political person, I'm just referring to economic terms. One is rupee, the other is interest rate. In our opinion, rupee should be somewhere around 69-70. That's where our exporters will be in a better position to compete with the world. That's where Chinese import will not hurt us as much as it is hurting today. Our hope is that over the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months, rupee will depreciate, and it will give breathing space to our exporters and our people who are competing against import. The second thing is real interest rates. Our builders are borrowing money at 18 to 24%. Some even borrow at 36%. Some of the small and medium enterprises borrow at 12, 14, 18, 16, 20%. At that borrowing rate, they really cannot survive. They really cannot prosper. So we need to lower interest rates for these borrowers. Our expectation is that over the next 3 years, both rupee and interest rates will be less troublesome for Indian businessmen than they were for past 3 years, and that's why market can go up. Before election, every state government ends up waiving farm loan. We have ability to suffer farm loan waiver only if states which are going to election do it. But if states which are not going to election also starts doing it, we don't have space, our rating can get downgraded. So we want limited population, not unlimited populism. GST, those of you who are businessmen, they have seen the pain of complying with GST. Fortunately, government has now started taking corrective action on November 9th and 10th. We do expect lots of announcements to make GST simple. So we want, like demonetization, GST to settle down. Demonetization did create problems in November and December, but the benefits started coming January onwards. GST has impacted businessmen and small businessmen, but hopefully it should start settling down going forward. Oil prices I mentioned in the context of geopolitical stability. It should stabilize around current level, we can afford it. If it starts going up from current level, our markets will come down. If oil prices crash from current level, our markets can go up. In distant land, US Fed is expected to raise interest rate. As long as they raise what is priced by our market, we are fine. If they end up raising faster, then there could be a little bit of trouble. And most importantly, earnings should recover. For last almost 8 quarters, we are waiting for earnings to come back. It has come back in automobiles, chemicals and specialty chemicals, building materials, private banks, NBFCs, oil marketing companies. But it's missing in PSU banks, metal companies, telecom companies, and some of the conglomerates, which were leveraged significantly. We want this earnings to be spread across the entire universe. If all these things happen, then market should continue to go up. What is our confidence? Renminbi, we don't know. It's difficult to predict Chinese. Geopolitical stability, Korea, we are quite sure that it will only make noise but not the blast. Saudi Arabia, the situation started developing just yesterday. We'll have to keep a watch. Rupee and interest rate, we do expect it to behave. Limited populism should continue. GST should start settling down in the days to come. Oil prices, we expect it to remain between 40 to 60. Fed rate hike should be as per expectation of the market or little less than expected by the market. And earnings should recover with capacity utilization going up or salaries and wages getting rationalized. That's why we believe 2017 is not like 2008. There could be small corrections here and there, but overall momentum of market should be positive. Now, markets are always linked with economy. If economy does well, markets will do well. When we give very bullish view on market, there are a lot of people who question that, Nilesh, but what are you talking about? We have witnessed low earnings growth, we have witnessed low export growth. There are pains of GST and demonetization. What are you talking about? Where are our children? In our opinion, what we are witnessing in India today is Samudra Manthan. When Samudra Manthan happened, first it brought out poison. In those days, there was a Shankar Bhagwan which absorbed poison. Today is Kalyu, so there is no Shankar Bhagwan. All of us have to take little bit of poison. That pain is coming to you, that pain is coming to me. But if we absorb this poison, then nectar will come out. Someone can argue if you will survive for that nectar or not. Don't worry. Nectar will make you survive even if you are dead. Why am I so confident that nectar will come out? Because for the first time in my life, and I'm not that old, I'm young, I'm seeing three things happening in India: efficiency, formalization, and financialization. It has never ever happened in India before collectively. What's efficiency? We all know how government was distributing subsidies in the past and how it is getting distributed today. There is usage of Aadhaar to weed out inefficiencies and leakages. LED bulbs are replacing incandescent bulb. That's helping save country 12,000 crore in power bill this year alone. So there is a lot of focus on ensuring that leakages get plugged and recipients actually end up receiving real subsidy. This is working out as per Indian standard, 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, but it's moving in right direction. There is one controversial project which is bullet train. Especially in Mumbai, there are lots of people who are saying that why are we investing in bullet train? We had a bridge collapse or a stampede on a bridge which didn't collapse, and 22 people died unfortunately. So a lot of people are saying that when we don't know how to manage a bridge, what's the point in investing in bullet train? So let me put bullet train in the context, and I'm putting that by an imaginary conversation between Mr. Modi and Mr. Abe. Mr. Modi goes to meet Mr. Abe and says, I want to put up a bullet train in India. Abe says, why don't you put up? It's a good idea. In Japan it has worked well. It has brought Japanese economy to current level. Mr. Modi says, but I don't have technology. Mr. Abe says, no problem, I'll give you technology. Then Mr. Modi says, but I don't have money to buy your technology. Mr. Abe says, don't worry, I'll give you 80,000 crore. Take it. But I don't have ability to pay interest on this 80,000 crore at market rate. No problem, I'll give you at 0.1%. But I still won't have ability to pay you loans back. So, okay, you take 15-year moratorium and then pay over 35 years. Okay, all these terms are acceptable. Let's go and set up the bullet train. This is how someone has gone and got India's largest foreign direct investment. Will Japan invest for repairing our bridges? I'm not sure. But if I can pump in 80,000 crore from Japan into Indian economy, and I have to pay only 33,000 crore back to them for import of technology and equipment, and balance money remains in India, I'm sure we can generate enough resources globally to repair all our bridge. But without that, whether we will be able to repair the bridge, I don't know. So this is how India is changing in terms of productivity and efficiency. I can keep on talking about so many steps taken by the government to build efficiency. but then the presentation will become really long. The second thing is formalization of economy. We are the world's largest grower of cotton. When drought year is there, we are top 3 growers of cotton in the world. We also know how to convert this cotton into yarn. We are the world's largest spinner of yarn. We also know how to weave this yarn into fabric. We make fabrics which go for Kanali, Zara, Gap, Banana Republic. You name the brand and it is made in India fabric. When you convert cotton to fabric, you probably make 25% value add. When you stitch that fabric into a garment and put a brand, you probably get 75% upside. We know how to grow cotton, we know how to spin yarn, we know how to weave fabric. But when it comes to capturing maximum opportunity, we don't know how to weave that fabric into garment. Our total exports of ready-made garment is $17 billion. A country like Bangladesh exports $24 billion of garment. A country like Vietnam exports $25 billion of garment. At this rate, Pakistan and Sri Lanka will outsmart us in exporting garments. Why is that happening? Somewhere we are obsessed towards large, mini, small, micro enterprises. We are not obsessed towards creating larger enterprises. And that partially explains why we are lagging behind in manufacturing. How is formalization happening? There are lots of things, but let me just focus on one. That's the goods and services tax. When I was studying in school and college, I was told that India is in Asia. I came with that knowledge into market, and I soon realized that all my teachers were telling me that we are actually in Africa. At least pre-GST, we were in Africa. Our tax to GDP ratio is lower than an African country like Rwanda. We are not qualified to say that we are neighbors of Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Bhutan because their tax compliance standards are better than us. With GST, hopefully, India will move from Africa to Asia. Hopefully. We are capable of finding jugaad before the law is created. But this time we are dealing with a government who is more jugaadu than us. So hopefully this window will narrow down over a period of time and we will move from Africa to Asia. I will call it India's South Korea movement. What is India's South Korea movement? We got independence in 1947. We were looted for 150 years by Britishers. On birth, we got separated into India and Pakistan. It created enough chaos, partition, industrial base being disrupted. Korea got independence in 1948. They were colonized by China and Japan for decades. They didn't got partition on birth, but immediately within 2 years, they had a war, and then they got separated in South Korea and North Korea. So effectively, the upbringing of South Korea and India is almost similar. In 1947, we were 4 times bigger than South Korea in per capita GDP. Today, after 70 years, we have grown to $1,850 per capita. South Korea has run to $29,000. We were 4 times bigger than South Korea in 1947. In 70 years, they have grown 16 times ahead of us. So they have leapfrogged us by 64 times. What have we done in this 70 years and what has South Korea done in this 70 years? When we got independence, there were a couple of industrialists, J.R.D. Tata, Kasturbai Lalbhai, Ghanshyam Das Birla, and some more. They all prepared something called Bombay Plan. In those good old days, my city was called Bombay. It recommended government steps which we should be taking to ensure India became competitive, India grew. The government did exactly opposite of what was mentioned in Bombay Plan. We restricted Tatas and Birlas to grow. We brought laws like monopolies and restrictive trade practices, which ensure that the larger enterprises kind of were curbed. What did South Korea do? They say, hell with everything else, just focus on growth. We don't care who grows, but we want Korean companies to grow. LGs, Hyundais, SKs, Daewoo, Sangyong, Samsung, they all were allowed to grow. Today, South Korea, whose population is probably less than Mumbai and Delhi and Kolkata combined, has a company called Samsung whose market cap is $200 billion. What's the big deal? Samsung's CEO and heir apparent is in jail, and yet their market cap is $200 billion. Yet they are able to launch Samsung Galaxy 8 kind of product, which is head-on competing with Apple. What have we created in 70 years? 3 companies, HDFC Bank, TCS, Reliance Industries Limited, which is $70 billion plus market cap. We think now with GST and other steps, formalization of economy will happen. In last 70 years, we have created 3 companies which are worth noticing, worth mentioning. Over the next 10 years, we'll end up creating 10, 15 such companies. This is our movement like South Korea. Hopefully, we'll capitalize on this. The third thing which is happening is financialization of economy. On 8th of November, you and I put together had more investment in currency notes, which gave 0% return, than equity shares held in dematerialized account. Collectively, we put more money in currency notes, which gave 0% return, than in equity markets, which was giving 20% compounded return for 20 years. There aren't any community like us who is not interested in making money. We are all saints. We have reached Vairagya stage. We are not obsessed with money. Is that true? The answer is clearly no. If I ask anyone to, vacate your pocket and give it to me, none of you will give me. It shows our obsession with money. But it is in wrong direction. The government came out with demonetization. The anniversary will be there in a few days. There will be huge debate about, has demonetization succeeded? Has demonetization failed? Many people will call it Modi's failure. If demonetization failed, is it Mr. Modi's failure or is it collectively our failure? What was the objective of demonetization? Everyone knew in India there is black economy. All of us have contributed to it. All of us have participated into it. The expectation was that government is giving you an opportunity to come out clean. You will pay your tax and deposit money into the bank. That collected cash will help government create growth. Unfortunately, that expectations were completely belied. Because we thought it was Modi's failure, we never realized it is our failure. The government is still trying to expand TaxNet by sending love letters to people saying that you have deposited so much cash in your bank account. Has it passed through the TaxNet or not? Some 17,000 crore has been deposited by some of the shell companies. Government is going after them. But that's not going to give money which government wanted from demonetization. There's still plan C, and that is called multiplier effect. What is this multiplier effect? When someone prints 1 rupee of currency note and gives it into the economy, it roughly creates impact of 1 rupee or 2 rupee. The cash does not move as fast because sometimes it gets stuck in someone's tijori. It doesn't flow. But when 1 rupee is put into bank account, it resonates in economy and creates 7 rupee of effect. Every 1 rupee in bank deposits gives you 7 rupee effect. Every 1 rupee in tijori gives you 1 rupee effect. The government of India has shifted 3% of GDP, about 5 lakh crore, from tijori to bank account. This 5 lakh crore, if we can multiply 7 times, will create 35 lakh crore deposits, credits, and consequent growth. This is penalty goal given to us. Of course, we have to kick the ball like our women kicked in Asian hockey final in the right direction, towards the right space. But for the first time, we have got this opportunity to replicate rapid growth. I will call it India's China movement. In 1980, India and China were of similar size in per capita GDP as well as total GDP. In 37 years, like South Korea, China has left us behind by more than 5 times. Today we are around $2.4 trillion economy. China is $11 trillion economy. They have leapfrogged us by so much that earlier India and China were like this. Now India is here, China is like here. There's no way we can compete with China now. What has China done? Are Chinese more intelligent than Indians? In Kolkata, everyone said yes, but I'm sure in Hyderabad there will be some different opinion. Are Chinese more hardworking than us? Who knows? Is Chinese leadership better than Indian leadership? Maybe. In reality, all the Chinese miracle can be explained by simple thing, which is total credit to GDP ratio to private non-finance entity. Our credit to GDP ratio, my bank loans to UN businessmen is 57%. In China, it is almost 4 times bigger at 211%. Because they have given more money to their businessmen, they have created better growth, higher GDP. If I knew how to create credit, I would have also created similar GDP. Why did we create that kind of credit? Because you were obsessed keeping cash at home rather than at bank. Because you were obsessed keeping money in gold rather than in bank deposits. Because you wanted money in your pockets rather than in mutual funds. We put them over the flow of currency in a system. We restricted money in our tijori. And we thought we are doing great service to ourselves without realizing that cash gives 0% return. If all Indians come to sell gold, what will happen to gold prices? Only God knows. So we not only generated lower return for ourselves, but collectively we also pulled down the country. Now you have an opportunity to change. And even if you don't like, you will still have to change because government is not going to print enough currency for you. They will restrict supply of money by about 5 lakh crore compared to 8th November level. So you don't have a choice. Of course, Pakistan can come and help you by printing fake notes, but I hope and pray that Pakistan won't do that. There is one more thing which is happening, and which I'm sure you would have read about it, recapitalization of banks. All of us know that our banking system is not in a great shape. We have lent money to people who are not paying it back. We live in a society where if you are wanting an arranged marriage and you are in search of a bride or bridegroom, the first question you ask to the intermediary, especially in Gujarati and Marwari community, सामने वाले ने default कितनी बार किया है? If he has defaulted 2-3 times, that means he is economically solid. I am sure that must be happening in Telugu community also. So we are living in that kind of society where defaulting to bank is an award. It's a Paramvir Chakra. Now because of that, that multiplier effect which I talked about earlier is getting restricted. Banks are not lending money freely because they are not sure whether they will be able to recover or not. International norms require capital in the bank before they can go out and lend. And which is why Government of India came out with 2,11,000 crore package. It's a significantly large sum of money and it can change India's future like some of the cases which I'm going to explain now. Look at this chart. This is the chart of Dow Jones Industrial Index. It's the American Sensex. It was falling. The one big drop which occurred somewhere in September 2007, 2008 was when suddenly one day Lehman Brothers expired. After that, AIG was about to expire. The American government rushed and gave him some oxygen, but despite that, market collapsed. Then Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch were coming under pressure. American government rushed, gave some oxygen. Despite that, market collapsed. Then General Motors was under pressure, American government rushed, gave some oxygen, and yet market collapsed. Then some miracle happened, and market started moving up, tuck, 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 tuck. What was that? What happened in March 2009, where boom, market just turned around? There were two things. One was a statement by President Obama. What you are now seeing is profit and earning ratios are starting to get to the point where buying stocks is potentially a good deal if you have got a long-term perspective on it. This is exactly like a fund manager like me will come and sell. Will this move the market? The answer is clearly no. President Obama probably mispronounced the speech also, because the right word is not profit and earning ratio, right word is price to earning ratio. So I don't think so anyone in the market would have given weightage to this speech where he has mispronounced a word. What happened along with was a refinance package by US Fed for $1 trillion. Effectively, it was a statement by banking system or government: if you want money, please come to me and take it for free. Moment government cut the check, market got the sense, and it started moving up. Words don't matter for market, it's always the money which matters for the market. Is our recapitalization like this? Previous 3 years, we have been seeing government talking about NPA resolution, but not the cash. Or the cash they were giving was not sufficiently large, 10,000 crore, 25,000 crore. Now suddenly government has given 2,11,000 crore kind of check. Will that change? My answer is quite likely. There are similar experiences like this in Swiss currency, where the central bank simply say, we will not tolerate this particular level, we will maintain particular rate with utmost determination, and we are prepared to buy unlimited quantity. Moment market realized the conviction on the part of regulator, it had no option but to behave. The same thing happened in European Union, in ECB, where one fine day, the chairman of European Central Bank came and said, within our mandate, the ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve euro, and believe me, it will be enough. Just few words, desired impact on the market. Our opinion is that this recapitalization bond can create that kind of impact on Indian economy. Now, I don't know how many of you play poker, but if you understand poker, and if you don't understand poker, this is the simplest explanation I can give. In poker, you could get cards which can give you a royal flush, which means you will definitely win. And sometimes you can get cards which are just high-end or high-end, and you have slightly better probability of winning compared to other players, but very small probability. Now we have taken a big step, 2,11,000 crore. But will it get converted to royal flush or will it get converted to high-end? Depends upon what follow-up we do after that 2,11,000 crore. If you notice, PSU banks today are roughly 70% of India's banking system. But these PSU bankers are paid salary which is very, very low. SBI chairperson salary is lower than my salary. In fact, significantly lower than my salary. I don't think so. I work as much as SBI chairman works. Now, how will you attract talent in PSU banks if you are not going to pay market compensation? So you need to manage that. The second thing which is happening in PSU banks, many a time their decisions were externally influenced. They need to become board governed like private sector banks, where decisions are taken by PSU bankers and not by outsiders. So with recapitalization, if I can compensate talent in PSU bank, if I can make them board governed and not influenced by external decision, we have a royal flush. But If we don't take follow-up action, then we just have high end. After 10 years, we'll have to recapitalize PSU banks again. What will government do? Your call is as good as mine. I don't have any additional information. So if I have to recommend, keep faith in India growth story. There are doubts in many people's mind, where are Achhe Din? But please remember, we are controlling Estonia to Brazil and Indonesia to Nepal in one country. It's difficult to move this country. The FIIs are decently sellers in the market. Don't worry about them. They'll all come back to buy. They were big sellers in November and December 2016. They all ended up buying similar stocks at 30% higher in April 2017 onwards. Keep margin for event risk, especially two risks are coming immediately. One, what happens to oil prices versus Saudi Arabia. Second, what happens in Gujarat election. Both will have material impact on our market. Focus on your return rather than fund return. Focus on your return rather than market return. There's no point in waiting outside and then trying to learn swimming. If you have to learn swimming, you have to jump in. The standard way to invest in equities or any other market is what is called systematic investment plan or systematic transfer plan. And you can invest across variety of funds. You have large cap funds, multi-cap funds, mid-cap funds, small-cap funds. You can take advice from Wealth First to pick up funds which are suitable to you. Allocate investment as per valuation cycle, and I want to spend 5 minutes on this most important slide. This is all about economy, this is all about market. If it didn't come to you, doesn't matter. This is the most important part. This is the Bhagavad Gita of the Mahabharata. How should you invest? So one way to invest is like Kumbhakarna. In Ramayana, Lanka was a richer country than Ayodhya. Why? Because Lankan investors invested like Kumbhakarna. They put money in equity market and went to sleep for 14 years. The Ayodhya guys, they trade in FNO. That's why they didn't become rich. So if any one of you is capable of following Kumbhakarna, you can put 100% of your money in equity fund today, go to sleep, 14 years down the line, we will meet. I'm sure you will be reasonably rewarded. About 11 years back, you know where Sensex was? It was at 10,000 level, where today's Nifty is. Will it be fair to assume that over next 10-15 years, to today's Sensex, which is 33,000, if history repeats itself, yes, it is doable. So if you can follow Kumbhakarna style, put money in equity, go to sleep, no problem. Now we all know that we are not Kumbhakarna, we are human beings. After Ramayana, no Kumbhakarna. There are very few exceptional people who are invested into equity market as per as their desired allocation. So you have to remember Muhammad Ali. He was legendary boxer. Did it mean that he never fell down on the pitch, in the ring? Answer is no. When you play boxing, even if you are Muhammad Ali, you will fall down. When you invest in equity market and you are not Muhammad Ali, you will fall down far more. There's a proverb in Japanese which says that you fall down 7 times, you get up 8 times. That is actually suitable for Indian equity market. We are at a stage where you will get some punches in equity market in days to come. It might be because of oil, it might be because of Gujarat election, it might be because of no reason. Markets can correct also without no reason. Please take the punches, but try to copy Muhammad Ali. Every time he fell down, he got up. And that is more than sufficient. In fact, this is the best summary of Indian equity market. When you hear presentation like me, hopefully you will feel comfortable taking a roller coaster ride. It generally happens in roller coaster ride. When people are coming out, you ask them, "Boss, kaisa lag raha hai?" "Acha lag raha hai, chad jao." And then you go up. The same thing will happen with my presentation, hopefully. Once the roller coaster starts moving, you will start cursing. कि बॉस किसको सुना, किसने सूली पे चला दिया. Don't worry. If you open the belt midway and try to get out of roller coaster, you will definitely hurt yourself. But if you close your eyes and start praying, start taking God's name, then the roller coaster will go through ups and downs, and at some point of time it will stop. At that point of time, when you come out and someone asks you, "Boss, kaisi thi?" Right? You will say, "Boss, charcha, koi tension nahi." This is exactly the equity market. Chadne time, like this presentation, people are comfortable. Once it starts, you start cursing. Some people try to jump out in the middle and then hurt themselves and then blame stock market and fund managers and advisors. But there are many people who stay invested and then they enjoy the ride. I recommended valuation, investment as per valuation cycle. I said this is the Gita from the Mahabharata. Let me explain this in as simple as possible. There are three kinds of investors. One, like this gentleman who is invested as per his desired allocation. The rest of us who are underweight into equity market, we haven't invested as much as we want to invest in equity market. And Deepak, I'm just taking you as an example, knowing you, he'll be overweight into equity market. Now there are three kinds of market: below fair value market, and expensive market. Below fair value market happens when there is a crisis. In October 2008, Lehman Brothers was dying. Indian investors thought State Bank of India and ICICI Bank and Axis Bank and Kotak Bank is dying. So there was a crisis in our market. That was when Sensex was 8,000, great opportunity to buy. It happened in May 2013 as well. It happened in December 2016 as well. The fair value market is today, it's reasonably priced. Expensive market is when Harshad Mehta invited you to invest in 91, when Ketan Parekh invited you to invest in 2000, when our kind of fund managers invited you to invest in 2008. Those were the expensive market. All of us will fall in this three category, and markets will generally fall in this three category. If you are underweight and market is below fair value, that's the time to put lump sum investment. Of course, this is applicable to human being, not to Kumbhkarna. If you are neutral weight and markets are below fair value, this is time to increase allocation. You have to put lump sum investments to become overweight. And if you are overweight, before market become fair, then this is the time to go and leverage yourself. This is the time to play into F&O market. This is the time to go and take loan against your portfolio and put that money into equity market. Because when the market turns around, you will make disproportionately high money. If markets are at fair value and you are underweight, then you have to invest by a systematic transfer plan. You want to invest 50% of your wealth in equity. You are at 20% today. You have to put 30% in equity. Divide 30% by 30 times, so 1% every week. Start putting in 1% every week, 1% every fortnight, 1% every month, whichever you are comfortable with. And if there is a correction, then prepone your purchases. Put 3-4 installments at one go at the lower level. That's how you invest into fair value market. If you are neutral, then just continue your systematic investment plan. Every month, every week, every fortnight, every quarter, whatever you are comfortable with, keep on putting small sums of money out of your savings into equity. If you are overweight, it is time to take some profit. Because markets are fair value, you are overweight, take some profit, there is no harm. If you are underweight and markets are still above fair value, then you have no option but to do STP. You still have to invest in the market because in the long term markets will go away, even if the short term they can correct. But if it is neutral and overweight, then you can take some profit out. This is how one should invest to make money in stock market. Today, market is just little above fair value, but not so much above fair value that I will recommend you to book profit. We are at an interesting stage in the market. Hopefully, economy will revive, profits will come back, renminbi will remain where it is, oil prices will remain where it is, geopolitical stability will be there, and Our markets will reward customers, our market will reward investors. Let's skip this because this is... Now, in this entire story, where is the risk? Last 70 years, India had all these opportunities, but we allowed South Korea to go up, we allowed Japan to go up, we allowed China to go up. Where is the risk in this entire India growth story? The only risk is probably illustrated in this. Do you remember 2004 India-Australia series? Not many people will remember that. That was the series which Australia won 2-1. They won after 35 years, first time test series in India. In 2001, Steve Waugh's all-conquering Australian cricket team came saying that India is the final frontier. We will defeat India in India. They almost came near to them. They almost came near to achieve that target till such time Rahul Dravid and VVS Lakshman played that epic inning in Kolkata. 2001, Steve Waugh had to go back. 2004, they came back more determined. The first match was won by them 1-0. The second match was in Chennai, where, like today or yesterday, rain God helped Australians, even though Indians were leading. But one entire day was washed out, and hence, the match ended in draw. The third match was in Nagpur. Both the teams entered Nagpur, and as is customary, both the captains went to watch the pitch. It was a green top pitch which will assist Australian pacers. Saurav Ganguly, then captain, it is said that he requested curator to remove the grass, make the pitch less pace friendly, so that India had a fair chance of winning the match. For obvious reasons, his request was denied. He got so furious that he actually came out of the match saying he was injured. Even Harbhajan Singh followed him. Tendulkar, Sehwag, Lakshman, Dravid went into the match. They played their heart out. But on a fast-paced pitch, Glenn McGrath and Jason Gillespie demolished them. We lost that match. Australia went up 2-0. The fourth match was in Mumbai, where Harbhajan Singh took 6 wickets in quick succession, and India won that match by 13 runs. We ended up losing that series 2-1. If the Nagpur pitch was not favouring Australians, maybe this 35-year track record would have lasted for 50 years. But we believed in Atithi Devo Bhava. We ended up giving our competitive advantage to the foreigner. That's our biggest risk. We still have ability to give up our competitive advantage by claiming demo is Modi's failure rather than our failure. By putting money in currency notes rather than in equity markets. By putting money in gold rather than in mutual funds and insurance products. Hopefully, this time things will change. We will learn from our mistakes. We will not repeat our father's generation's mistakes. And India will continue to grow. You can follow us on this Facebook page where we put this kind of presentation and materials. You can follow us on Twitter. My Twitter is Nilesh68. 68 is my birth year, not my age. And Kotak MF is our official handle. Finally, it is important to have a good advisor. In Mahabharata, if you see, Duryodhana had more resources and Pandavas had less resources. Duryodhana was outnumbered in Pandavas by 1:1.5. Yet Pandavas won. Pandav won because they had advisor in Krishna. Duryodhana lost because their advisor was Shakuni. So get a good advisor. And in this Kalyug, since Krishna is not going to come, please manage with wealth first. These 3 monkeys remind you of something. Many people associate it with Gandhiji's 3 monkey. This is actually Gandhiji's 3 monkey, but the message is different. Many people associate Bura mat dekho, Bura mat suno, Bura mat bolo. That was not the message Gandhiji intended. His message was simple: don't bother about daily Sensex movement, don't bother about hype and noise which media creates, and don't bother about tips. There's no Mother Teresa who wants to make you rich by giving tips free. What Gandhiji meant was be a long-term investor, be a regular investor, and please maintain asset allocation, something in debt, something in equity, something in commodity, something in real estate. That combination will make you enough return to meet your needs. For greed, pray to the God. Thank you.